Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monday. I used to dread Mondays, not anymore. And this one, I actually was a little bit restless last night because I was super excited. With me today is Bob Reeker. And when I first started working at Nasco, honestly, his name came up all the time. And like everybody would say, you have to know Bob Reeker. And then as I got into working, it was almost like, what do you mean you don't know Bob Reeker? And when I met him, I totally understood why. He is coming to us live from Nebraska, right out of his classroom. It was fun. I got to even wave to some of his kids. And he is currently the co-director of Online Art Teachers K-12, and it's actually a service project. It's a Facebook page, and we're going to talk all about it. This is going to be very interview style, and we want it to be full-on participation. So do not hesitate to type in a question. We have added a handout that gives you a lot of the information, and I thank Bob for that. He did all the work, and yep, we've got the handout attached. If you can't download it, because I know sometimes GoToWebinar isn't compatible with everybody, just send an email when you get your follow-up email, and I'll make sure that you get that handout. But first, I just want to welcome you, Bob. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this and taking time out after a long work day.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this conversation today. And I'm enjoying the Maker Mondays as well. I've been able to sit on a few of them, and they're informative, and they really touch on a lot of the topics that we're trying to address in schools right now. So thank you for offering these.
Oh, well, you know what? What makes them amazing is my guests. You know, I'm pretty sure if it was Chris Bakke sitting here Monday after Monday, the popularity would probably crash and burn pretty fast. But there's so many engaging art teachers out there. And so let's start though. Tell everybody what Online Art Teachers is all about.
You bet, of course. We go by Online Art Teachers K-12, but there's other names you might hear us. You might hear us called OAT K-12. You might hear us called OAT. And I know there's other groups out there that have very similar names as well. But we're one and only. We're one and only because we were developed almost a year to the day, a year and 5 days. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary as a service project. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means. But really what it's meant to be a resource for art educators that have had to teach in uncertain times over the last, 8-9 months and up to a year ago, because I know we were even serving people last spring when schools were closing suddenly and no one really knew what to do. But it's the free resources that are available to art teachers. And that's one of the things we really stress. We don't really allow anybody to come on and sell anything because we want things to be free. Do we want people to credit things and give the appropriate credit to the people that have created? Of course, because that's part of just being good citizens and good digital people. But everything is free. And the only place that we do allow things to be sold or to promote selling is through NAEA, the National Art Education Association, as well as the state organizations. Every one of our team leaders, past and present, are NAEA members. And so we've, both Dr. Harlow and I, who I've served on the national board 2 times, very fortunate to have done that. Dr. Harlow just recently became an elect at the higher ed level. So we really have a strong belief in NAEA. So we've connected to NAEA in different ways. We can talk about that a little bit as well. But we just really stand firmly that there's no selling unless there is connected to NAEA or to state affiliates.
Absolutely. And the fact that it started just out of something that has never happened to probably any of us in our lifetime before, what a resource, what an opportunity. And the fact that somebody that just has no budget or anything can go and find somebody else that is either going through the same thing, just in reading it. And I like to be a part as somebody that serves art educators, because that helps me learn. And so when we first started doing Maker Mondays, I actually did ask for permission to put them on there because they are free. Like we don't do these because we want to sell this lovely set of brushes. No, it's helping people to get information out. And it was also a little bit of an answer to the pandemic, because normally I would go out and do workshops, or I would do professional development, and I would be, intermixing with customers. And I just was like, how am I gonna meet people? And so, yeah, it works out. Your group is fabulous. And just to watch the numbers go up of how many people are participating. So go back to that history and tell a little bit about the history. And you've started on how it started, but give us a little bit more about it.
Well, of course, we were all thrust in last March as to what was schooling going to look like. And Dr. Trina Harlow, who I've already mentioned, who is a professor at Central Arkansas University at the time, was at Kansas State University. She was talking to art teachers because, of course, she works with pre-service teachers. She has really nice relationships with lots of art educators around the country, and they were in a panic. Some people were finding out that the next day their schools were closed. Somebody like me, I had about a week to be able to prepare, and at that point, a week was luxury, right? But some were being told, your kids are leaving today and they will not be back tomorrow. So teachers are panicking. They're like, I don't even know what to do. So Dr. Harlow was on the phone, I think, my guess, probably for 24 to 48 hours with teachers talking about things, how could we best support. And after lots of restless nights sleep, and specifically the one on March 10th into the 11th, she just woke up on the 11th and she says, we have to do something. And she had done a lot of service projects during her career, so she really understood a lot about what goes into that. She also taught around the world in different locations, and so she knew what a lot of these kids were going to be dealing with, which were having no supplies. She had done that in a lot of the schools that she taught around the world. So she knew that the need was there. And so her first initial idea was to create, it was kind of two-pronged. She created the Facebook group, and that went through lots of iterations and changes over time. And then she also created the Google Drive folder that we house a lot of the free resources that we have available. Of course, the email was tied as well to that Google folder. But, she initially started out connecting a lot of it to herself. And through the learning that she did, she was going like, oh, I don't want to do that. It needs to be a standalone. So then she started to really brand this idea of online art teachers, K to 12. At that time, then she started to reach out to different art teachers around the country that she had worked with. Now, Trina and I had never really worked closely together. We knew of each other. We had talked about some different things like online, but very fortunate, I was one of the first ones contacted, and I was the first one to say yes. And so I remember that phone call. I was actually traveling, and Trina and I had probably about an hour-long conversation just talking about where are we going, how do we get people involved, what needs to happen. And within just a few days, we had 1,000 members, like lickety split, like within just a couple of days. People wanted it, they needed it.
Yeah, well, no doubt she called you first because you are a mover and a shaker, and and you are so plugged in. So I don't doubt that. But there's actually a team of people, right? And I might be jumping the gun on that.
Okay. Yeah, she started out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, that seems like a natural transition. She started out with, I believe there were 7 of us on the team, and they were all people that Trina had either had experience with, had been involved with, had done leadership with. And they all pretty much were in the Western region, in the middle part of the United States, because that's where she was from, right? So she had several of us that were more veteran teachers. Many of us were in the classroom. There were others that were working in higher ed. She even had a former pre-service teacher who was brand new, who was also joining the team. So she felt like she had a nice range of people. But as you know, with every team, it changes and it alters and it develops. And so we've had some people drop off. We've had some new people come in. We've broadened out beyond the Western region. We have people from the East Coast. I don't think we have anybody from the Pacific Coast, but we have people definitely from the East Coast and the Southeast region of the United States. So we've really tried to broaden and diversify our team leader group.
Absolutely. Did it just, so it says we're doing social media differently on OAT K-12. what exactly does that mean? How, we're all used to Facebook groups, but what does that mean for you?
You bet. Well, this is something that Trina said right from the very beginning, is that we were going to try to formulate concepts, ideas. Oh, there we go. And really support this idea that people are supporting one another professionally. I know you're part of several of the art teacher groups that are out there on Facebook, as I have been. And it's a hard job. Don't get me wrong. The behind the scenes is hard work. But unfortunately, on some of those groups at times, things can get what we might say a little ugly, not very pretty when it comes to some of the conversations. And we felt it was just really important that we said we were going to have professional conversations, and we're running the group. And so as much as we want to honor everybody being part of the group and sharing their thoughts, sharing their resources, their ideas, we were also going to make sure we're maintaining professionalism. And so
Yep.
we don't delete posts very often, and we don't delete comments very often, but there's times when that's needed to be done. And that's part of being a
Yep.
leader. That's part of being an administrator. You have to make some of those hard calls. And with the 11 team leaders, if there's a really tough one, before we do anything, we'll talk to one another. We have different people taking care of different days. And so we make sure that we have those conversations about what's going to go off of the page. And some are easy, right? Things that are being sold, we delete those immediately.
Yeah.
People that
Yeah.
are rude things or not contributing, we take care of those right away. But we just, most of our feedback from people have said, thank you for administering the group and taking care of things that maybe go, I always say, that post might go south today. Let's keep a close eye on it, right?
Yep.
And sometimes we have to go in and we have to try to turn it, right? We have to pivot
Yep.
and start putting positive things on there.
Yeah, I was actually part of what was actually a really constructive conversation when I was going to do a Maker Monday on Dia de los Muertos. And you helped, ask some questions that said, okay, how are you presenting this? And is it in a way that is appropriate to the Mexican culture? And are you, it's not just a Halloween thing. And so, honestly, that helped me check and double check the work that I had done so that I did do a Maker Monday in an appropriate way. And, honestly, I really appreciated it because there has been times where I'm not sure what the right thing to do is. And so it's nice to have a resource and one that it's done, like you said, in a professional way. And so just a reminder too, if anybody else has any questions, by all means, feel free to type them in. We'll keep talking and we've got plenty to talk about, but I want you to feel like you are involved as well. So if you have questions for Bob, type them in. But no, I appreciate that, and I have seen that level of professionalism, and I think it's fantastic.
You bet. I just want to add to that too. The strength of our group is the strength of the people that are in it, right? And people come in to ask questions. They come in to contribute. They come in to look at the funny memes. Everybody's there for a different reason, but we're all part of that professional conversation, that professional collegiality. And so when Trina notices that maybe some of the posts are leaning, people are down, right? There's some, maybe numbers of COVID cases were skyrocketing, and that was bringing art educators, feelings about what they're doing coming down. Trina would reach out to the team leaders and say, let's just plaster the page with all kinds of positive stuff the next few days, right?
Yes.
So, Dr. Harlow has just such an amazing awareness of people and their needs, and she's so proactive in kind of noticing some of those trends and then encouraging to get in there and just really support people as best we can.
I appreciate that. I mean, because there have been moments in this pandemic where it has been, you're just tired and frustrated and needing that contact. One quick question, as long as we're talking about getting the help, if any of our viewers today are watching that would like to join the group, how do they go about joining this page?
Yeah, good. That's a great question. Well, we have 19,384 members, I think, currently. We're shooting for that 20,000. As you can imagine, we were really growing fast at the beginning. And now we've kind of slowed down. We actually have a really fun special surprise at 20,000 if we ever get there. But yes, we'd love people to join. So basically just go to Facebook and search Online Art Teachers K-12. We should pop up. The key thing to that is make sure you answer the questions and you agree to the rules that we have on the page.
Yep.
That's one of our
Yep.
key pieces. If they haven't answered the questions, we will try to do our background. We'll try to click on the person and do a little background check to make sure that they're an educator. So we go out of our way to make sure that everybody coming on the page. Do people slip through? Certainly. And then we monitor and we block people as necessary. But yeah, that's very easy for people to join.
Perfect. Very good. Well, I would definitely encourage it because, like Bob said, it's free resources and they're from phenomenal people. Like, there are so many amazing teachers, and they don't always want to be even necessarily recognized for it. They're just like, hey, I did this amazing art with my kids and it was successful. I want to share it. And that's all there is to it. So it's so much fun. We talked about who was administering the group. Do you want to share those names out?
I think that's important. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Well, as I mentioned already, Dr. Harlow is our founder as well as my co-director. She came to me several months ago and she says, Bob, I could use some support and I'd love to name you as my co-director. And I came on board right away and said, and it's been a wonderful relationship.
Yeah.
Dr. Harlow ranks up there very high with me in terms of her professionalism and just her kindness and her collegiality. Before we became on board, Chris, you even mentioned Dr. Harlow out of the blue visited me this winter. Didn't even know she was coming. She showed up outside my school with a couple of bags of really wonderful treats for me for the holidays. Just warmed my heart. I mean, that's just something Dr. Harlow does. She is just that kind of person. But other people we should mention, Dr. Sarah Ackerman is one of our team leaders. Sarah is in Illinois. Randy Robar is in Ohio. Kate Miller is in Kansas. Caitlin Johns, I'm gonna forget where she's located. I apologize, Caitlin, but she's one of our valued team leaders. Christine Wellman is one of our international team leaders from Bermuda. So we're excited to have her.
Fantastic.
Jane Montero's from Michigan. Danny Bryant's from Texas. Holly Bess Kincaid is from Virginia, and Evan Thomas, I believe, California. So he's our one person who's out in the Pacific.
Nice.
So we just have a wide range. And again, we have people that are at the higher ed level. We have people that are in the classroom. We just have a really nice mix. People that are early in their career, those of us like me that are more veterans that have been in the classroom for a number of years. So it's a nice mix of people that are our team leaders.
Oh yeah, bringing a whole lot to the table, that is for sure. So tell a little bit about the kind of resources that are available to the art educators. And I know that you put together the handout of all of those resources, so they are available for you on the side panel. You can click on the handout, download it before you close out today, because it doesn't come back in the follow-up email. If you miss it, just respond to the follow-up email. Everybody, I think you all know kbaki@nascoeducation.com, always willing to help. But if you download it now, then you have it. So talk a little bit, because it was amazing, all the stuff that is on there. It's not just a social media group.
That's right. It's pretty extensive what we've done. Well, we're all aware of the Facebook group, and that, of course, has developed and grown. The numbers are astronomical in terms of the number of hits that we've had, the posts made, the comments. It's just been, the laundry list is huge of people involved and the topics that are included. One of the things that Dr. Harlow had a great vision for at the beginning was to try to tag the different posts according to topics. And so one of the things you will find on the Facebook page is off to the side. If you're on a computer, you'll see a list of all kinds of topics, and you're gonna see ranges from pedagogical things to materials that are used to virtual needs. And some of them have hundreds of posts, some of them only have 10. But if you click on those, you can easily find something that you're interested in. And of course, the search bar is always there. We always encourage, especially, some topics come up time after time after time, and that's great because that's the time people need it. But what we encourage people to do is either search for your topic or look for your topic. And so that resource has been incredible. But we realized not everybody does social media, not everybody does Facebook. So we wanted to make sure that we were broadening out even further. So as I already mentioned, we have the Google Drive folder. It is free. It's really easy for people to go in, and the link again is right there on the handout. You go in, there's about 8 or 9 folders. And again, we try to break them out into different things: basic ideas, elementary lessons, secondary lessons. There's one on culture and diversity, equity and diversity, choice boards. So we've tried to kind of hit those big topics, right, that people might want. But there is one folder in there that's folder 6. And that's actually the one where anybody can drop anything in there, whether it be a PDF, a Word document, slide share, whatever it might be. But they can drop things in there. And then I'm actually the one that helps coordinate the Google Drive folder, and I move things into folders. Early on, we had everything available to everybody, and everybody could edit. And we quickly found out that unfortunately things get deleted and changed and moved, and it became kind of hectic. So we had to kind of simplify. But everybody can go in and download those different materials and use them. Some are shared, some are just snapshots, and so people have to adjust. We as art educators should be doing anyway. We shouldn't be using everything per se, just as it is. You got to think about, your clientele, your situation, who you teach, what your budget is, all those things. But those materials are all there, and there are hundreds of things there. In fact, I'm not sure anybody could get through all of it because there's so many things there. But that Google Drive has been incredible to have available.
Unbelievable. I mean, that in and of itself is worth so much. You know what I mean? I mean, you talk about that commercial, when they're like, a pen, 89 cents, writing a lesson plan, blah, blah, blah. This Google Drive, priceless. Like, seriously.
I totally agree with you. And then, of course, connected to that is our email address. So anybody can email us at onlineartteachers@gmail.com. We watch that closely, and Dr. Harlow is really good about responding. But then there's also still one more piece that we added to all this, knowing again that not everybody does Facebook or social media. We actually have a website as well. And that website is simply onlineartteachers.com. And there you will find all kinds of links to different things. Dr. Harlow decided very early on that we're going to try to offer PD, professional development, for our teachers. And so last April, we put together April's was, I believe, a day session. And we just spent the day, different presenters coming on. And we did it through Facebook. It was really great. Everybody pre-recorded their presentations, and we ran them on Facebook. And we did it through Zoom, of course, and it just was really smooth. And it just, everybody could get on there and just learn about what Online Art Teachers K-12 is about. Most of it was team leaders presenting. So then in June, when we came back together, we decided we wanted to focus more in on curricular needs for the fall, because we knew that probably things were going to change for a lot of people to a degree. The expectations of people doing more synchronous learning was going to happen. Somebody like me, where I was going to probably be back in my building with all the protocols that needed, we just wanted to run. So for 2 days, not only did the team leaders present, but we found those people out there that had been great contributors, and they also presented sessions for us. We did the same kind of thing, Facebook Live with the pre-recorded videos, presented it out. And here's the awesome thing. It's all there for people to go back in and find and watch the videos. They're there, available. They're on our Facebook page, and they're on that website. So I tell you, we had people that came to us and said, thank you. I think in June, we offered 11 hours of PD, and some people got that approved, and they actually used that for their PD this year, because they said to their administrator,
absolutely.
Yes, this will meet my need. This is something I need. And we actually provided certificates so that it was, could be documented that they actually did it. So our resources are amazing. Again, they're free.
Yes.
We hope that people will take advantage and use them.
We do have a question from Heather. Heather, thanks for being a participant today. How do you, tell again how you access the Google Drive?
You bet. So the link is right there on your resource sheet that we provided. But if you wouldn't have that sheet, it's really easy to find. You just go to the Facebook page and you click on the About section. And there's actually a link right there in the About section that says this is how to get to it. And then periodically, I will just throw it up there as a reminder. So people could even search Google Drive and probably find several links from me on how to get there. But yeah, it's on the handout. It's also in our About section on the Facebook page.
And remind us of the email address again.
You bet. The email is onlineartteachers@gmail.com.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So if Heather doesn't do Facebook, then she can go to the website.
Yes. And that's onlineartteachers.com. And there is a link there to the Google Drive as well.
Yep. Very good. So it really, I mean, the social media part is nice, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And so the website is there, and then the access to the Google Drive. And then, of course, with the email, you have really the ability to contact anybody
Of
at
course.
all, and that's
And if
fantastic.
anybody's struggling to find a resource, just email us there at the onlineartteachers@gmail.com. We're happy to answer those questions. That's part of being that service project, right? I mean, some people may think, oh my gosh, I should be able to find this, or you're going to think this is a really silly question. Well, we know there are no silly questions. You know, we're happy to support. Otherwise, we wouldn't have formed the group if we weren't willing to step up and assist.
Right. Well, and if you're engaging in becoming better at what you do, that's not silly at all. In fact, I knew this was coming up. Another question that says, how often do you do the professional development opportunities?
That's a great question. You know, we have only done the two, again, last April, last June. And then life got busy, right? So we actually, our intention was to do one last fall. We had bounced around a lot of different topics and ideas. And then boy, all 11 of us got hit in the face with school. And we all looked at each other and we said, we just don't know, we can't right now do another PD. So I'll tell you right now, it's been batted around within our team leader group that maybe we're going to provide another summer one. And it would be on a topic that would be, of course, really important for art educators. So we want to make that match. I can't make any promises, but there's always that possibility that we might consider doing another one this summer.
Very good. Absolutely. Speaking of PD, somebody asked if they can get a PD for today. Maker Mondays, we do offer professional development. And we always just tell teachers that, you know, check with your school district, with your principal, you know, if they allow the professional development, we absolutely provide a certificate, and lots of people download the certificate. It comes at the end of the webinar. About an hour later, there's an email that comes. It'll have the link if you want to rewatch, and it will have a PD certificate that you can download. If you miss it, let me know. I'll hook you up. There, at what point in time did you know that you had created something special? Did you know that like this was a good thing?
Yeah, you know, Dr. Harlow and I, you know, we had conversations from the very beginning because we didn't have an idea of the direction it was going, right? I mean, it's kind of that saying, we were building the plane as we were flying. And at times it felt like that plane was going to crash because it was just so much coming at us. But thank heavens we had amazing team leaders, and thank heavens we've had some really supportive members along the way who've just really stepped up, contributed, asked questions. Those have been really great things. For me, and I can't speak for Dr. Harlow because my guess is she's had a lot of pieces along the way, but I remember when we hit 10,000 members, that to me, I mean, right now I've even got goosebumps about it because it was like 10,000 art educators, not just from the United States, but from all over the world were coming to us, asking questions and needing support. So to me, that was a really big turning point. I think a couple other things that stand out to me is just recently, last month, we were awarded the art technology group, the interest group, their community service award. And so that was a really kind of a big moment for Dr. Harlow, myself, and our team leaders to say that we're being recognized for the good work. We talk about, we don't do this for accolades. We don't do this to be recognized. But boy, when you are recognized, you kind of know you've done some pretty good
Feels good.
stuff. Yeah. You know, and then
Absolutely.
Dr. Harlow and I also talk about, we really feel like we've done something special here. We've done something that's going to go down in art education history. And I think it's been recognized by NAEA as well, because they partnered with us this last winter to make those connections to help support and promote the virtual convention that was held just a couple weekends ago. And so to have that partnership with an organization that we so firmly believe in and we so firmly connect to has really given us some validation.
Yes, and because your circumstances are free for all, that gives lots of people an opportunity to be an OAT K-12 member that might not be able to be an NAEA member. For sure, we would encourage that because it's the national association and they do such great things. And so not always available. So you provide this resource that becomes fair to everybody. And, you know, if you don't have it of your own money to be able to shell out and your school doesn't provide it, this is a great resource for them. And so for that service, you know, I thank you for all the teachers out there because I know that that's so important. Can retired art teachers join?
Oh, of course. In fact, to be honest, we have art teachers that range from people that are teaching in elementary school and pre-service teachers to retirees. But we also have had a few people that join who maybe are educators that they don't have an art teacher in their building, but they have to do art instruction, right? That kind of thing. We've had some teachers that are outside of the traditional schooling system. We have people in private schools. We have people that are doing community arts. So even though our focus is art education and art educators, a lot of times the resources that we have are broad enough where other people can also grab and pull from and be able to use those kind of things. So we just ask people that come on board to have art and art education at the center of what our conversations are about. So that way we don't get off on topics that are tangents that don't really make those great connections. So you go to other social media to help feed those needs. We're about art and art education.
Oh yeah, use your personal stuff to throw out that. Let's talk about art education and the benefit to all.
Yes.
Because it really, at the end of the day, also becomes an advocacy piece too. And to be an advocate for art education in your community, in your school, in your district, in your community, in your state, so important. You know what I mean? Like,
agreed.
It's the glue, and no pun intended by talking about glue, but it's the glue that held people together during a pandemic. You know, like the arts were a moment where you didn't have to be on screen and you could release and so much good stuff. Another question that came is, you said you had an international team member, so it is open to everybody, including Canadians, right?
Oh, there's no doubts. Yeah, we welcome our Canadians. We welcome people south of the United States border. We welcome people across the oceans. We have several people that are from India. I know I've seen those requests come through. We have people from the UK. I mean, you name it, it's all over. You know, predominantly, of course, most of our members are here in the United States, but we certainly have an outlet that goes beyond. And some of that is because Dr. Harlow has worked with people around the world. And so, that word has gotten out because of that. And, we welcome.
Cool.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Agreed.
Another great question, and I knew it was going to come up too, is how do we get the t-shirt says Linda?
If Dr. Harlow was here, and she may be one of the attendees, we have batted around doing a second run of this. Well, this was a lot of work. She went through a company, just a web-based company, and we really, had to push to try to meet our quota and get the order out. And so people could order and then they'd be shipped directly to their homes. And it was a great thing, and we're really glad. But what was hard is we didn't have actual shirts, people to see. Once the order came out, we started wearing them. Everybody wanted them. So once again, that is one of those things that we've kind of batted around as a possibility that we might do it again. You just have to watch the OK12 page to see if we're going to offer it again. But yes, they're good looking, all different colors with this logo right here. I have several that
I wear a graphic t-shirt almost all the time on this Maker Monday. And so, mine says choose kind today. And it happened to be an art teacher in Florida. Their class did it. And I bought it at the Florida Art Ed Association. And so, I usually, believe it or not, I usually have a reason for it. I did choose kind because Bob Reeker is such a kind human being that, and I didn't have an oat shirt. And I'm like, now I need an oat shirt too. So yeah,
well, Chris,
Linda,
we're going to make sure you're on the short list if we decide to reorder. So I'll be talking.
So Linda, we will get those shirts.
Yeah, can make it happen.
How about like, is there what reoccurring weekly posts could a member expect from the team leaders?
Yeah, this has been kind of a fun thing because it kind of just naturally started to happen, and we just thought it would be a fun way that members could anticipate certain things happening certain days. And so I think the first one that we started out was like on a wellness. We would do wellness weekends. And then Randy Robar has taken on from Ohio, he's taken on Wellness Sundays. So if you go early Sunday morning, and he's really good about it, he often has it up by 5 or 6 in the morning, and he will just put up a meme, he'll put up a quote, he'll put up a picture, and it's just kind of inspirational. He'll ask people to participate. So he'll say, show me a picture of your breakfast that you're having this morning, or what was the last landscape that you took a picture of with your camera, right? Those kind of things to just really promote this idea that take time for yourself. We know how important that concept is. So that, I think, was one of our first ones. I had a associate superintendent that every Monday would send out a Monday musing, and it was just her thoughts on different things. And so I've kind of adopted that. That's kind of my baby, because I watch the page on Monday. I'm one of the 2 that watch it. I just wake up that morning and I have collected things off the internet. I find quotes, I find pictures, and I just write 2 or 3 paragraphs. And most of it is really about just inspirational, right? This idea that everyone should continue to try to do their best, whatever that means to them, but also accept the fact that this is hard. And this bites, and this is not fun, and this is not something anybody wants to do. It's okay to recognize that it can be hard, and you might cry, you might be frustrated, but how can you take those situations and make them better? Jane, who is my monitor on Monday, she also does Museum Mondays, so she tries to highlight museum experience around the country or around the world. If you join us on Tuesdays, you're going to see Tuesday talking points. So that could be me or Dr. Harlow posting something, making videos. Dr. Harlow and I both have become, I think, pretty good at making videos. We use some different tools in order to get that done, and we're very proud of the fact that we can now produce videos pretty nicely. And then Kate Miller always does a Friday afternoon. What's made you happy from the week, right? Just go on and share something. And the great thing about those is they're really interactive, right? So somebody can go on and commiserate. They can say, that's neat, that happened to me too, or whatever the case. And then if you've not seen Art Virtue, Danny, who's one of our team leaders, he has been doing videos. Now, he doesn't always provide them on a certain day. They can show up at different times, but he runs different videos. And he does virtual characters. He inserts music. He's even started putting a laugh track in, and every time I hear it, I giggle because it's just reminiscent of.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, you've seen him. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He actually invited me to be part of that Eliminator. Oh, I was so like, oh my gosh, I get to be in his video. So much fun. Yeah.
It is. That's cool. He's reaching out. He's used people in his building. Dr. Harlow and I have also been part of the Art Worldwide News. Is that? And I know, it's awesome that you were also involved, Chris. That's really cool that he brought you. Yeah.
He actually, Daniel was on Maker Monday, choosing joy and engaging your students, and just powerful in terms of, don't let your circumstance rob your joy. And it was just fantastic. And so it was right around when he started that little series. And so shortly after that, he's like, hey, this would be fun, just somebody outside of the art community, but in the art community, adding to it. And so my acting's ridiculous, but it was still so much fun. I came in the studio to do it. Yeah, it was fun. And
Fit the bill perfectly. He'd
yeah,
make it
he's
work.
just a joy too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a perfect word to describe him. His latest is giving up his art cart because he's back in his room, and just what the art cart is going through, not being needed anymore. So just search for his videos on our page. They're hilarious. They'll put a smile on your face. There's no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. So somebody is asking too on, is there information on lessons specifically about a cart, about teaching on a cart? And so you were talking about the tabs or searching. Share that one more time, please.
Yeah, of course. If you go to our Facebook page and you either search in the, the search bar, it might be the magnifying glass. It might actually be the bar that's on the Facebook page, or we have topic tabs, and usually on my computer they're off to the right. Yeah, I'm assuming there's an art on the cart tab. I haven't looked lately, or search art on a cart. Yeah, there definitely would be things there, because we know that there are people who this week, next week, or next month are going back into buildings and they're going to be on a cart. So yes, those resources are there. As you can imagine, there are tons of virtual resources. I mean, we have incredible resources on Google Mosaic, Bitmoji classrooms, all those big topics that have come about over the last year. There's bunches of resources there. And then don't forget also, there's other Facebook groups that do great work too. Like there's an Art on the Art Teachers page. They should join that page, right? That would be a good place to go if they're looking for that specific niche of what it is they're trying to meet their needs.
Exactly. Sunny Myers and Debbie Scarborough were actually on Maker Monday last week doing art on a cart. So I'm more than happy to connect you with that. But it is like, K-12, I mean, there probably isn't a topic that you haven't talked about yet. And you probably almost would invite it, because that would be a whole new level of conversation. So don't be afraid if you search it and you don't find it to put a comment in. And, if it's been there, somebody will direct you to. If it hasn't, the conversation will get started and it will be fabulous.
Dr. Harlow is one of those that will look at every single post. She's probably looked at every post ever since this page has started. And she is so aware of all the topics. Yes, if she's seeing a duplicate, she'll put in the comments, search it, look at the topic tab, those kinds of things. Just because we don't always want to be rehashing the same thing over and over, that sometimes will drive people away from a page if those same things keep coming up. So we'll work with you on it.
Sometimes the fun thing is that when somebody knows somebody who's good at something, they will type in somebody's name like Bob Reeker, and like all of a sudden that alerts you, and then you can have that conversation, and it's so good.
I just did that last week for Jamboards. Jane Montero has been great using Jamboards. And so I saw a post come up, I put her name on there and tagged her, and she came in and shared ideas and suggestions. So yeah, it's a great way to do it. Go to the experts.
That's one of my favorite parts of my job, is I'm so lucky to know and get to know people from across the United States. And so when somebody has a question and sends it to me at Nasco, I love to call somebody else up and say, hey, I know you're really good at adaptation in the art room. Can I connect you? I've never had somebody say no, never, because that's who art teachers are. And I love that so much. So that's one of my favorite things. Somebody says, I see sections are divided by elementary and secondary. Is there a section for more like kinder grade 1 level skills? And it says, I'm going through the Google Drive. There's tons of info. Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda, for that. But does it get specific in grades?
No, when we started to organize this, we decided to put all elementary together, because I think we felt like in elementary you can either go up or down pretty easily. But Rhonda, I hear you. If we could, break it out into primary and intermediate, that would be so much better. It was a beast that was much bigger than us to be able to break it down that far. So if you can get to the elementary, you might have to do, you know, a little bit of searching for that.
Yeah, and you know, all I can say too is like all of you have full-time jobs as well. So the fact that you've done what you've done is awesome, so great. And so yeah, sort through and at least gather up and know that it's from elementary.
And then I think, Chris, the other thing with that too is the secondary, we decided not to bring it out into middle level and high school. Once again, I think we felt like it was in the high school, we felt like people could either go up or down. And I love that you just said, it's so important to remember that the 11 of us do have full-time jobs, and we're doing this because we believe in service and we want to support our fellow art educator. Great example is Dr. Sarah Ackerman. The hours that she's put into our website in making it visually appealing, the content is there. She just deserves a lot of praise because she is our website master and she is masterful work. So yeah, that's important to remember.
All of you deserve high praise because it is such a service of your heart, and art teachers in general have that kind of servant heart, but some of you do just raise it to the next leadership level to offer these kind of things and inspire people to. I mean, Bob, I know that you and Trina and the whole group take people under your wing, you know, and say, you know, go into leadership for your state organization or for the national organization, because that's what makes you grow. And so that alone is fantastic too. But speaking of NAEA, you guys did a partnership. And what did that entail? And tell a little bit more, because a lot of people did miss it. It was virtual this year. It was hard, but it was still somewhat, it was so much better than no conference at all.
Yeah. A year ago when it had to be canceled, that was just heart-wrenching. I was finishing up my second year as Western Region Vice President. To not have any celebration, any way to do any closure, we felt lost. So knowing we couldn't be together this year and at least having it virtually, you know, it fed some need, right? It fed some of that need that we had. And the great thing about that conference is you can still look at the presentations for another 6 months. That's pretty incredible that they're continuing to offer those. So that's pretty amazing. But Trina and I think both of our mouths probably fell open simultaneously when we read the email from Mario Rosero, who is the executive director of NAEA, when he said, we know you have a following. We know that you have a strong connection to art educators out there. We want to partner with you. So we set up a meeting and we met with him, as well as Krista Brooks, who's in charge of communication, and Dennis Inholzen, who is the chief learning officer for NAEA. And we just brainstormed, right? We just did a brain rain. I think that was one of the things that one of the keynotes talked about. I never heard of a brain rain before, but we just threw out ideas of how OAT K-12 and NAEA could collaborate, especially around the convention. And we felt the best thing we could do was help them with promotion, right? Get it out there. So we did videos, we did still things, and we just asked some of our members to share with us, why are you a member of NAEA? Why do you attend convention? And so we were very proud of the work that we did for the connection. And then the return from NAEA is we were originally, when we were going to be in Chicago, they were going to give us a super session to talk about our history, kind of like what we're doing today, right? We're going to be able to do lessons. So they honored that and gave us a special session, a 2-hour special session, and just allowed us to celebrate. And it was just a really fun time to get together and just with our team leaders and just share some of the joys, some of the difficulties, and just what it is that goes into providing a group like this. And so it was just a real pleasure for us to collaborate and partner with NAEA, and who knows, it might turn into something else. It's always exciting to think
about. And it says a lot that, you know, I mean, really, this whole organization is brand new. It's 1 year. And for them to come and say, hey, we know you're plugged in, that is high praise. And everything work, everything you did is working and works. And so it just shows all of the synergies that, that you're plugging into the right people, and that everybody's enjoying it. And yeah.
They find,
So
right,
something,
that's the important thing. There's value in what it is.
and how about this comment from Linda? You were the best part of the convention.
Wow. Wow, that means a lot. Holy cow, because I know
Yeah.
there were a lot of offerings. That means a lot. Thank you.
That is so good.
Wow.
The other thing, here's what I want to ask too is, has there been a post that has just really made you laugh out loud, or like just something that was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that? Anything that you can remember that was just really impactful?
Well, the Danny videos are going to always stand out because he has poured his heart and his humor into them, and everybody who watches them comments how they just brought a smile to his face. So that's great. The Bernie memes, of course, are going to stand out because
Oh, yes.
that was so timely, and so many of them were connected to education and to art that was kind of a fun thing, a kind of a fun run to kind of see happen. But just lately we did a 1-year anniversary. Dr. Harlow wrote a beautiful post about our 1-year birthday, and there were people who were writing comments below that just kind of tear your heart. I mean, here, I'll just read a couple of them to you. It is indeed a good experience to be one among the group. So many different artists of different countries and culture folk together. It has just been amazing. The art teacher world would be a loss without you. Wow. So thankful for this group, who are so willing to share and patiently share their questions. Several of these talk about how they feel like OAT K-12 saved them, that we saved them. That is incredible. I mean, to know that the impact and the power behind 11 people working together with the almost 20,000 people who actually scooped some people up and saved them and got them through their teaching and their life over the last year, that says it all to me.
Yeah, it really does. So there's a light at the end of this pandemic tunnel. And right now, my favorite,
Right? Later.
right now, my favorite Facebook posts, both on OK12 and my personal page and some of the other groups that I'm involved in, is when a teacher shows their sticker that says I've been vaccinated. It just makes me happy. And I know my turn is coming, but I'm like every teacher in line before me, and let's just make this happen. So we know that the pandemic might be over soon. Let's just keep hoping and praying. What will be the future of OK12?
Our group started talking about this. Dr. Harlow and I probably started talking about it after the first of the year, right? Because there were all the talk about, the vaccines coming. We knew that potentially things were going to change, probably not for this spring completely, although we're starting to see some of things altering and changing. But we definitely feel like in the fall, there could be potentially some important changes to how we're going to be doing things, maybe more close to normal. So as we know, this group was formed as a service project for art teachers by art teachers during uncertain times, and we're certainly not out of those uncertain times. But I think even though the group is talking and we're trying to figure out the direction we're going, we are basing our decision as to what the need is, right? And Dr. Harlow and I have talked about our full-time jobs, the personal lives. We certainly can't monitor and administer a Facebook group like this the rest of our careers. She and I are, within 10 years of retiring. And so we know we can't do it forever. But we also know that OK12, we want OK12 to have a presence of some sort. So whether that's through social media, if that's through another format, we don't know exactly where it's going to go. But we also know that the group has had an impact and will continue to have an impact in some format. We just ask our members to stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated. It's not something like we're going to one day decide we're done, we're not going to do this, and the next day it's over. We will strategically look at a plan and the direction that we want to go with that. So
Yeah.
we just appreciate you joining us and being part of it. So
Yeah, stay tuned, right? You know, it's like the season cliffhanger of like Bridgerton or something, you know, like
more to come, more to come.
I just wanted to pick something hot and interesting.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I feel like I could talk to you forever, and clearly people were very engaged. I cannot thank you enough. We only have 5 more minutes, and I'm going to do a couple little announcements. If for some reason you do have a question that you absolutely want to ask, I'm going to be like last call for questions here, but I want to say thank you first, Bob. It has been such a pleasure to get to know you, and you are such a special human, and to take time out after NAEA and to go through another hour sort of workshop with us is just fantastic. Thank you so, so much.
It's my pleasure. Again, I'm in education because I believe in being a servant and a support. So it's I feel it's a gift of mine, and so I'm happy to share that and be part of whatever way I can help. You know, there are times in my life when I sit back and I'm one of the many, and then there are times when I step up and I'm able to support in a different way. So happy to do it. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nasco, and thank you to Dr. Harlow and my fellow team leaders, as well as
Yes.
19,384 members. What an amazing year it's been. It's been challenging and uncertain and difficult at times, but then we lift each other up and we support one another. It's been very
Yep.
powerful. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. It is time to hit 20,000. I want to see what
Yes.
happens when that happens. Exactly. Next week, we don't have a Maker Monday because we have a very special potential new series starting called Book Chat. And we have invited NAEA's president, James Haywood Rowling Jr. He wrote Growing Up Ugly, Memoirs of a Black Boy Daydreaming. Such a good book. We have a few that we are still giving away as part of a drawing if you register. So the link to register is going to be in the follow-up email. You can also find it on Nasco Art Education, but please join us for that. Read the book. It's fabulous. If you don't get a chance to read the book, come join us anyways, because he's going to do a fabulous job. Looking forward to more Maker Mondays, looking forward to OK12 hitting their 20,000. Everybody keep staying safe, keep being healthy, and keep teaching art.